topic is chemical control and coordination. So in this chapter, chemical control and coordination, we will study about the various type of endocrine glands present in our body and the function of these glands and the secretion produced by them. So chemical control and coordination, as we know that in previous classes we have studied about the nervous system in class 10. There we have studied about the role of neuron, the role of the nerves that control the various parts of the body. The CNS, the central nervous system, control the various parts of the body and its function. Now, chemical control and coordination is such type of control and coordination mechanism where hormones play a very important role in the coordination of the body functions. Now, what are these hormones? So, you see, hormones are certain non-nutrient chemicals. Hormones are non-nutrient chemicals. They are released by a particular type of gland known as endocrine gland. Endocrine gland. Now, these endocrine glands have some features. Now, what are the features of these endocrine glands? First feature that I am going to discuss, that is, endocrine glands are ductless. So, they are ductless gland. That means they do not possess any duct. So, as they do not possess any duct, so how do they drain their secretion? They drain their secretion in the bloodstream. So, they drain the secretion in the bloodstream. That means the blood carry the hormones to the target site. So, what is the target site? Target site is that site or that part of the body, organ or tissue where the hormone plays the role or the hormone acts there. Okay. So, the target site is not near the place of secretion or site of secretion. So, the site of action and the site of secretion are far away from each other in case of endocrine gland. So, the site of secretion may be a brain, may be the brain of the body, and the site of action may be the gonad. So, here you see that site of secretion and site of action is very far from each other, and as a result they are far, so they has to be transported by a means, and the means is blood. So, blood carry the hormone. Okay, now this ductless gland, they do not possess any duct, they drain the secretion in the blood and they are non-nutrients. So, hormones are non-nutrients, chemical messengers. So, why are they called chemical messengers? Because they coordinate the body functions chemically by the role of chemicals. Now, let's discuss about some of the hormones that are produced by our various parts of the body. So, let's discuss first type of hormone that are present in our, the type of gland that are present in our brain. Before going into the types of gland, we will discuss about what is an endocrine gland. So, endocrine gland, as we are talking about hormone, so we need to know what is an endocrine gland. So, what is an endocrine gland? Endocrine gland are those glands that are ductless, that produce hormones. Just now I have discussed. Now, endocrine glands, as they are ductless, while on the other hand there are certain type of other glands called exocrine, which we have studied in the digestive system, where exocrine gland produces enzymes and they have duct. So, in that case, in the exocrine gland, the site of action and site of secretion are very near to each other. So, here the discussion is not about that. We will discuss about endocrine. So, first of all, we will learn about the types of endocrine gland as I was telling you. So, the types of endocrine gland, first are the pure endocrine gland, and secondly, the type of endocrine gland is partial endocrine gland. So, what's about pure endocrine gland? Pure endocrine gland are those glands that produce purely, they are endocrine in nature, they release hormone or they produce hormone. And partial endocrine gland partially acts as endocrine gland, but they do not act totally as an endocrine glands. Like, for example, like placenta, like GI tract, heart, they act as partial endocrine gland. So first is pure endocrine glands that we will study here. So pure endocrine gland is hypothalamus, pituitary, okay, then come thyroid, then there are so many types of endocrine glands which are pure endocrine glands. So let's start with hypothalamus. So today's first topic is hypothalamus. So hypothalamus. Now you see, hypothalamus is a very important endocrine gland and most of the function of the body is coordinated by hypothalamus. Now hypothalamus is present in our brain. You know that it is a part of brain as well. And hypothalamus, the origin of hypothalamus is ectodermal. That is, during the embryonic development, from the ectoderm, the germinal layer, there are three germinal layers: ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. So from the ectoderm, the hypothalamus originates. And hypothalamus generally release some very important hormone. What are they? As I told you that hypothalamus release some very important hormone. So what are they? They are the two types. The first is the releasing hormone. Releasing hormones. Okay. The releasing hormones are generally stimulating hormones. They stimulate the function of pituitary gland. Because you see, hypothalamus is known as the masters of master gland. Okay. And pituitary is the master gland. Now, pituitary control all other gland of the body. So, here if you think about the hierarchy of in a school, okay, for example, the teachers. We the teachers are all the, suppose, the other glands of the body. Okay, X, Y, Z all teachers are the different glands present in the body. Okay, and they are controlled by, or their work is regulated or coordinated by a principal. Okay, so principal is the pituitary gland. And if we think that above the principal, who is there? Suppose there is a chairperson, the director of the school. So he is the hypothalamus. So like that, hypothalamus regulate pituitary, pituitary regulate all other endocrine glands of the body. So hypothalamus releases two types of hormone. One is the releasing hormone, that is excitatory in nature or stimulating in nature. That means it gives positive feedback or positive stimulation to the pituitary to release its hormone to act on other glands. Okay. While the other type of hormone released by hypothalamus is the inhibiting hormone. Inhibiting hormone that inhibits the function of the pituitary. So releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone, these are the two types of hormones. Now for example, if we study about releasing hormone, so what is the releasing hormone? Hypothalamic releasing hormone is GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. This is a stimulating hormone. So this gonadotrophin releasing hormone, it stimulates the, suppose I am giving a plus sign for the positive stimulation. So it gives positive stimulation to the anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary. I am writing ANT for anterior. Anterior pituitary. So when this GnRH is positively stimulating the anterior pituitary, okay, now anterior pituitary will release its hormone, that is, it will stimulate the gonadotroph cell of the pituitary. Gonadotroph cells. Okay. Gonadotroph cells of the pituitary gland will be stimulated by the GnRH, which is released by hypothalamus. So, it is a hypothalamic hormone that is stimulating the gonadotroph cells of the anterior pituitary. So, in return, the pituitary will again act on the other glands for its release or for its secretion. So, further the anterior pituitary will release gonadotrophin. So, that you will study later in the later part of the chapter how it works. So, this is the stimulating action of the hypothalamic hormone. Okay. Next is the inhibiting hormone. Next is the inhibiting hormone. For example, inhibiting hormone is somatostatin. Somatostatin. It is a type of inhibiting hormone which is released by hypothalamus. Now, somatostatin is an inhibitory hormone. It inhibits the anterior pituitary. Okay. So, when there is a excess secretion of growth hormone, so when the growth need to be restricted, in the body, somatostatin give negative feedback to the anterior pituitary to stop the secretion of growth hormone. I am writing GH for growth hormone. So hence the growth will be stopped further. So this is the function of inhibiting hormone. Now the question comes, how this hormone reach to the pituitary from the hypothalamus? That is a very important question. Let us discuss that. Okay. Important thing is how these hormones are transported to the pituitary. Now you remember that anterior pituitary is generally anterior pituitary. To the anterior pituitary, the hypothalamic hormones, okay, the hypothalamic hormones from the anterior pituitary, it comes through the axon, okay, comes through the axon. So all the hormone originating in the hypothalamic neuron, so all hormones of hypothalamus, or you can rather say all hypothalamic hormones, okay, passes to the anterior pituitary through the neuron or through hypothalamic neuron. Okay, so the axon part of the neuron will transport it to the anterior pituitary, okay, and they will release it from their nerve ending, and the hormone finally reach the anterior pituitary through a portal circulatory system. So through a portal circulatory system is there. Okay, let me rub this. So anterior pituitary will get the secretion of the hypothalamic hormone through the portal circulatory system. So what is the particular name given for the portal circulatory system? That is known as hypophyseal portal system. Okay, and why? So hypophyseal portal system is the portal circulatory system that brings the hormone from hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary. While in the posterior pituitary, so it is anterior. What in case of posterior pituitary? Pituitary has three lobes: anterior, posterior and middle lobe. So in the posterior pituitary, the hypothalamic hormone is direct under the control of the hypothalamus. It is directly under the control of hypothalamus. Okay, so this is about the function. So you can see the structure given here. In this structure you can understand about the pituitary and the relationship with the pituitary and the hypothalamus here given in this figure. Okay, I hope you understood. The next endocrine gland that we are going to study is pituitary. Pituitary gland. Now you see, pituitary gland is the master gland, as I have discussed just now, and pituitary directly or indirectly control all other endocrine glands of the body. So you can understand how important is this gland. Though this is the smallest gland in our body, it is the smallest endocrine gland, but very, very important gland, as it regulates all the other endocrine glands either directly or indirectly. Now the origin of this gland. This is also originated from the ectoderm of the embryo or germinal layer of the embryo. Okay, now the pituitary releases various type of hormone from the various lobes. So pituitary gland is divided into the three different lobes. So what are the lobes? Number one, anterior pituitary lobe, anterior pituitary. Next come posterior pituitary, then the posterior lobe. And what is the in between lobe? That is the intermediate or the middle lobe. The middle lobe. Okay, the middle lobe of pituitary. So these are the three lobes of pituitary. Okay. Now you see this anterior pituitary or adenohypophysis. Now see, anatomically the pituitary is divided into two major parts. So what are the two major parts of the anatomical division of the pituitary gland? So the major two anatomical divisions, What is anatomy? The internal structure. Morphology means external structure of an organism. So the two major anatomical divisions of pituitary are adenohypophysis, adenohypophysis, and the second is neurohypophysis. So adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, these are the two major parts of the pituitary gland. Okay, so adenohypophysis. So let's talk about adenohypophysis first. So first let's talk about adenohypophysis. Hypophysis is again divided into two parts. So adenohypophysis are divided into two parts. So what are the parts of adenohypophysis? So adenohypophysis is divided into two parts. Number A part is pars distalis. Pars distalis. We are talking about anatomical division of anterior pituitary. Pars distalis, and second is pars intermedia. Pars intermedia. We can also say pars intermedia as the intermediate lobe or intermediate lobe. So adenohypophysis is divided into pars intermedia and pars distalis. Okay. Now what are the hormones released by these two parts? So first let's discuss about pars distalis. Okay. So pars distalis we will study first, and then we will study about the pars intermedia. Okay. And apart from adenohypophysis, we know that pituitary is divided into neurohypophysis also. So first of all, just draw a flow chart. So pituitary, okay, adeno and neuro. Adeno divided into pars distalis and pars intermedia. So we are talking about this. So first we will study about pars distalis. Okay. So let's start with pars distalis. So what are the various hormones released by the pars distalis? Pars distalis. Number one, very important hormone, that is growth hormone. You are growing. You all are growing till now, till you reach the adulthood. You will grow taller and taller. So growth hormone, in abbreviation you can write on GH. So growth hormone stimulate the somatotrophic, somatotroph cells of the anterior pituitary. So growth hormone stimulate the somatotroph cells of anterior lobe of pituitary to release the somatotrophin, and as a result, so growth hormone stimulate the somatotroph cells. Where are the somatotroph cells present? In the anterior pituitary. And as a result, what happens? It releases the somatotrophin. Okay. So somatotrophin or growth hormone is released. So growth hormone stimulate the somatotroph cells to release its growth hormone or somatotrophin. As a result, when the somatotrophin is released, it will activate the metabolism of carbohydrate, fat and protein in the body. Why? In order to grow the parts of the body. So growth is important for that. For the growth, metabolism is important. So metabolism will be speeded up. Now once the metabolism is going on, okay, so there will be oversecretion. If it happens that the pituitary is releasing too much of the growth hormone, it will result in gigantism. Gigantism. What is gigantism? Gigantism is the oversecretion of pituitary in the childhood. Gigantism, okay. You can see a gigantic person here. So it's a gigantism. And if this happens that a person in the adulthood having any problem in pituitary, suppose there is a tumor in the pituitary, for that oversecretion of the growth hormone takes place even after maturity, even after adulthood. So that will lead to acromegaly. Acromegaly in adulthood, remember, and gigantism in childhood, means in the adolescence period, when a person is growing in his childhood phase. Okay, so these are the two conditions. Now the next hormone is very important. No, one more thing. If there is less secretion or hyposecretion of growth hormone, what will happen? It will lead to dwarfism. Dwarfism will be there in case if the pituitary secretion of growth hormone is decreased or very less. Okay. So next come the next hormone. So let's talk about the next hormone, PRL. In abbreviation, it is called prolactin. Prolactin. So what is prolactin? Prolactin, this is a hormone that stimulates the lactotroph cell. Lactotroph cells are stimulated because of PRL. So as a result, what happens? The lactotroph cells are the cells present in the pituitary gland. Okay, and it will release prolactin. Now prolactin regulates the growth of the mammary gland. So it stimulates the prolactin release, stimulate the lactotroph cell, and lactotroph cell will help in the growth of mammary gland. Mammary cells. So what happened? It will help in milk secretion. Okay, it will help in the formation of milk in the mammary gland. This is the function of PRL. So this is the second one. Third one is, it's TSH. Now what is TSH? TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone that stimulates the thyrotroph cell of the anterior lobe of pituitary to secrete its thyroid stimulating hormone or thyrotrophin. This TSH stimulates the synthesis and secretion of thyroid hormones from the thyroid gland. Now next type of hormone that we will study here is ACTH. So what is ACTH? ACTH is adenocorticotrophic hormone. Now ACTH is secreted when adenocorticotrophin releasing hormone or ACRH of the hypothalamus stimulates the corticotroph cell of the anterior pituitary lobe. Now as a result, this stimulates the synthesis and secretion of steroid hormone called glucocorticoids from the adrenal cortex. Next hormone that we will study here is gonadotrophin hormone. Gonadotroph cells of the anterior lobe of pituitary gland which secrete the luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone. Both these hormones stimulate the gonadal activity and hence they are called gonadotrophin. Now LH. LH in male stimulates the synthesis and secretion of the hormone called androgen from the testis, while in the female it induces the ovulation process. Now the ovulation of fully mature follicle, that is the Graafian follicle, and also it helps in maintaining the corpus luteum which is formed. Now FSH. FSH or follicle stimulating hormone in male regulates spermatogenesis, while in female it stimulates the growth and development of ovarian follicle. Now let's discuss about the pars intermedia or intermediate lobe. This portion of adenohypophysis secretes only one hormone, that is MSH or melanocyte stimulating hormone. So what is the function? The MSH acts on the melanocyte or melanin containing cells and regulate the pigmentation of the skin. So this is the function of MSH. Next we will study about neurohypophysis. Now neurohypophysis is a collection of axonal projections. So neurohypophysis is a collection of axonal projections from the hypothalamus which terminate behind the anterior pituitary gland. It is called pars nervosa, and the neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary secretes two hormones that are oxytocin and vasopressin. So oxytocin, it is a hormone that help in the vigorous contraction of the uterus at the time of childbirth. It also plays a role in ejection of milk from the mammary gland in the female. Vasopressin is also known as antidiuretic hormone or ADH. This hormone mainly acts at the kidney and stimulate the reabsorption of water and electrolytes by the distal convoluted tubules, and therefore it reduces the loss of water through the urine. So students, we have learned about the hypothalamic and pituitary hormone in this video. In the next video, we will discuss about the pineal gland and the other endocrine glands present in the body.